There used to be this creepy Mother Goose VCR tape that I watched in childhood with my siblings, and it featured a big, giant goose costume. And a guy that was in the goose costume had a really thick New York accent, and he like walked around and every other word he said was honk, honk.
Oh, but it was like honk, honk. Hello, hello.
Hey, welcome back.
Yes, we're back for another episode.
Another episode of A Fine Podcast with your host, Amanda and
Joseph. Yes, welcome back. Today we are going over Season 1, Episode 12.
The Show Must Go On.
Yes, just like this episode must go on.
That's right. So, quick synopsis. Fran agrees to direct Gracie's school play, but then Maxwell maneuvers himself into her position.
How will he do that?
We just have to wait and find out. All right, so to start off this episode, Brighton is eating a steak and he says his steak is very tough. And Niles says, well, so is life, and then you die.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality of it.
Yikes. What a way to open up the episode, Niles.
Yeah, they really just bringing in the harsh facts in the beginning here.
Life is tough and then you die. It's not really a very positive statement.
It's morning, maybe Niles is just not a morning person.
Yeah.
Since
having a tough morning.
Yeah. He's just feeling gloom and he needs to share that gloom. Misery loves company, so
yep.
Why not bring Brighton right on in it?
Yeah. Well, Brighton and everybody else around him. So Fran thankfully comes in and lightens up people's mornings, and she is showing off her dresses that she's choosing between to wear to the PTA meeting coming up at Gracie's school. And she says she's really putting a lot of thought into this because some of those P's and T's could be lonely he's.
Yeah, this was a clever phrase here.
Yes. And then Niles says, well, you certainly have the A for it to complete PTA meeting.
Yeah, this was like a little funny pun they came up with.
But of course, Fran is focused on, oh, can I meet a guy here at this school meeting? That's why right. I'm going.
Yeah, maybe some single parents out there.
Yeah.
Looking for that person.
It's true. Single dads.
Holla out if you...
Holla out. If you go to PTA meetings in hopes of meeting another single parent, let us know.
Yeah.
So Maggie's commenting on her dresses here, and she says, why don't you go with the black? It has smaller price tags, which are easier to hide, and you can return it after. So clearly Maggie's picking up some of Fran's tips for shopping.
Yes, Fran is rubbing off on Miss Margaret here and giving her the not so great ideas of using something and then returning it.
Immediately.
Yes, yeah.
So it's like you didn't pay for it at all.
Right. That's...
You're just borrowing it.
Yes, that's not good.
Fran then says to Maxwell, who came in, the PTA is planning a big pageant. Isn't that right up your alley? And then Maxwell says, why on earth would I want to do that? I do that for a living. So Maxwell has no interest in getting involved in this pageant at first.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I don't know. I feel like you've got two different people here. Normally, someone who maybe is super passionate about their job or they would just love to do it during work hours and outside of work hours. And maybe he just doesn't want to continue on doing that after hours or think about it. Or maybe that it's little children and he wants sophisticated
plays only.
Or like sophisticated, not educated, but just sophisticated actors.
Adult actors?
Yes. Yeah, adult actors. I could see chipping in if they needed my particular set of skills needed.
But they would take like huge advantage of you because of how big you are in this field.
Sure, but...
Which I think that part annoys him.
Yeah, most. Right.
So Fran says to Maxwell, Gracie's going to be in the pageant. Doesn't that change your mind? And first, Gracie is shocked and hesitant about this news. She says, oh, well, what am I going to do in the pageant? And Fran says, well, it's a great way to get guys, which I don't know why she mentioned that with Gracie, but Gracie says, well, what do I do once I get them? She has no idea what Fran is talking about here.
Yeah. I mean, it's way too
way too
young for Gracie to be in anything in that regard yet. So.
But of course, that's Fran's big focus, and she had to sneak that in.
Yes, yeah.
So Maxwell can't believe it either, because he said that Gracie is going to therapy and she is currently introverted and insecure and working on those two things. And that's going to be the star of the pageant.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like the perfect lead role right there.
So Fran says, who cares about that stuff? Barbara Streisand, her role model, is insecure and introverted, and she's going to therapy, but she's getting $1,000 a ticket for her shows.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah. Burn.
Yeah.
From Fran.
Anyone can do it.
Including Barbara.
Yeah, shout out to Barbara.
Shout out. So in this next scene, Max and Fran are then at the PTA meeting. And Max really thinks they're going to start by roping him in to stage the pageant because he's a Broadway producer. So he's just waiting for somebody to come up to him and rope him in. But then someone comes up to him. He's expecting it to be for him. And it's actually a woman that's there to compliment Fran's outfit. So burn on Maxwell for that.
Yeah, it was funny. I mean, he was very walking in with quite the ego in here. And they were all looking at the two of them. And he's, they must really, they're honored that I'm here, and they're very excited for me to be here. I'm sure they'll become begging for me to do this. And then this lady just comes up and it's like, oh, great outfit, Fran.
And Fran kind of knew that her outfit was getting attention, and he thought she was silly for thinking that. But
right, yes, yeah.
But then comes Miss Emma Truesdale, and she's Lexington's head mistress. And she is very big on getting Maxwell Sheffield involved in this production.
Yeah, she clearly knows who he is, and she really wants him to take charge and turn this thing into a masterpiece.
So she gets up on the podium and she says, we need a volunteer, someone to be the director of our pageant. And then Mr. Sheffield goes to say something, and she's like, yes, Mr. Sheffield is volunteering. And he goes, no, I'd like to volunteer Miss Fran Fine.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to make him kind of do a 180 here, and not only me, but have my nanny lead the whole thing.
How's that? Not me. So this woman does not want Fran to do it. So she's asking for anybody else that's interested in this, and no one else is interested, so the role is hers.
Yes, yeah, an easy win for her, for Fran.
Yeah, so she's excited about it, and Maxwell's just happy he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of a win-win.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, no one in the audience really wants this, so.
No one wants it. So in this next scene, we're at the Maxwell Sheffield house. The Maxwell Sheffield house. I don't know why I said that.
The one and only.
The one and only Maxwell Sheffield house. But all the school kids are in the house. So they're holding auditions for this new play that's going on at Gracie's school in Maxwell's living room, where he loves to hold auditions. So guess that was an open arena for everybody.
I'm sure he probably suggested that to Fran when she was thinking
True.
maybe we'll hold auditions at the school or whatever. And he's like, let's just do them at my place.
Yep.
I got the space.
I got the space. Let's
got
go.
a great mansion.
No driving.
Yeah.
So we see Andrea and her mom, and Andrea is very interested in being the lead role. So this was quite a disturbing dynamic between Andrea and her mom. So Andrea says, Mommy, I'm hungry. And her mom says, you ate yesterday. Fat girls don't get leads. That is just, I was horrified hearing that. Do you think that would fly today on TV? That is, that was terrible.
No, but It was pretty funny.
A
but-
mother starving her child
yeah, I mean that concept is not funny, but
and putting the idea in her head that she's going to be a fat girl if she keeps eating, and they don't get lead roles. Not true. Not true, Andrea's mom. And also, that's horrible. Let's not say that to our kids. I just put OMG in my notes. Like, I couldn't believe they said that. But
yeah,
poor Andrea. She's also like starving for attention. Just anywhere she goes, she's trying to like sing and just get all the attention for herself.
yeah. Well, this is kind of she reminded me of the other the episode where the boy was
blonde-head
trying to
boy.
the Fran's cousin's dentist's child or something along those lines, somewhere in her family heritage.
The gray skies are gonna clear up. The guy.
Yeah, he wanted the Broadway hit to where he's just begging for them singing this stuff. She
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of
A
him
female
little bit.
version of him.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So Max comes in and he starts just criticizing things without really trying. He says, well, where's the sign up sheet? And where's the accompanist for the piano? And Fran doesn't have a sign up sheet or an accompanist. And then she says, oh, Maggie, go sit at the piano. She has her sit in to be the person playing the music.
Yeah, since we've seen Maggie previously learning piano, but
Yep.
wasn't great at it yet. But then also too, Cece shows up with Max, and Cece is just in like a nightmare right now with just kids swarming everywhere.
She really doesn't like kids. That
Yes.
much.
She's like, watch out for them. They'll blindside you. So,
She thinks they're sneaky individuals.
yeah. So Cece's not interested in this audition at all, or just partaking in this show. Not one bit.
No, she's not having it. Well, you know who else is not having it? Bernard, who comes in for his audition. And Bernard was like clearly forced to go up there and try to audition for like a lead role or something. And then he gets really shy and nervous. And I think it's his mother in the background. She's going, sing, Bernard, sing.
Yeah, he lets the stage fright get to him,
He can't do it.
and he flunks.
And Fran goes, that's okay, Bernard. You can be in the background somewhere.
Yeah. This like reminds me of, I had a dog once that we took it to a competition, and it was like a dog with like the weirdest bark or something along those lines. What? I forget exactly.
You took
but
Johnny to a competition?
Yes, it was a beagle named Johnny, and we tried to take him to this competition, and we tried to make him bark, and we could not get him to bark. And I remember I was just doing every little thing to like try to make him bark, and then he never barked.
But he would bark when he's not at the competition.
Oh yes, a ton. So yeah,
Weirdest bark?
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Hmm.
I feel for Bernard. I can understand him.
You were the parent in the background trying to get Johnny to bark.
Right. Yes.
Bark, Johnny, bark.
Yeah.
So then it's Gracie's turn to audition for the big number, and she starts singing Itsy Bitsy Spider. And this is where Maxwell and Niles look at each other like, oh gosh, like she's not that good. That was the look they gave each other. And then Andrea and her crazy mother come up, and then she has the song of like, it's only one note.
Yeah. Or she just holds it for forever.
She just says, ah, forever.
Yeah. And then
Only sang one note song.
yes, trying to basically, I guess, just show off her breath control
Yes.
to be able to. That's what gives you the lead role, is just holding that one note for 24 measures.
Yes. And she waves her hands and she's trying to act all theatrical. And then they tell her that's enough. And then Fran says, well, it's Gracie by a mile. She wins the lead role. And Maxwell comes in and says, how dare you pick Gracie for this? The other girl was great, referring to Andrea. And he tells Fran, you're supposed to cast on talent. And Fran says, well, she just casted on her connections. And Gracie then ends up being really happy. So then Maxwell says, well, I guess I can try to help work with her then.
Yeah. Because, yeah, at that point, it's hard to tell your daughter no there. So
Yeah. But to even say, oh, yeah, my daughter was pretty bad. We should cast the other one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's at least just showing unbiased. Then
It's true.
I mean,
Yeah.
that teaches your kid to
Work
learn
harder.
to be the best. Yeah.
Yeah. So at this next scene, we're at the children's theater, and Max is simply there to support Grace, or so we thought. And then he starts criticizing the outfits on the set. And then he just steps in as director because he doesn't really trust in what Fran's doing. And we have the headmistress who's just dying for Maxwell to be the director anyway, just sitting there, like egging him on, saying, oh, you don't like the way the outfits work and you don't like the way the set looks. How about you step in? He's like, well, if you insist, maybe I could. And then Fran says, well, what about me? I think Gracie says, what about Fran? And then they give her the role of producer and they say, congratulations, you're the producer now.
Yeah, which this, I guess, once Max actually sees things underway is what sparks him to really take over. I guess it's kind of interesting. Why did he all of a sudden now have this big interest in it? But before at the beginning, he doesn't. I guess I would say it's probably just because, I don't know, seeing it, and maybe he's just currently on a hiatus or something in his current Broadway productions or something.
I took it as like he can't help himself.
Yeah.
But to chime in, he's sitting there, he's just there to support, and then all of a sudden he's just jumping in and he can't help it because that's naturally what he's made to do.
Right, yeah. I guess it's just interesting how he thought differently at the beginning. He's like, oh, I can't partake in this.
Yeah.
There's no way. And then now it's like, I just gotta, little thing is just a disaster here. Just let me
just step in entirely and fix it all.
Yeah, right.
Ridiculous.
Need to kick Fran out of here. She's doing a terrible job.
Which that's really insulting. And you get the role of producer or something, like just to give Fran.
Yeah. Well, then the two, I think he mentions, Fran was like, are you missing someone? Who's like already doing all this stuff. And then he just, all right, I'll do the choreography as well.
Oh, yeah.
Just like really, really kicking her to the can on
just like nothing
this
left
production.
for her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She can go stand on the side and be a producer.
Also, we saw here when they do the little song, and then Andrea steps in at the end of it and does another big long note that kind of outshines everyone.
Yeah, when now all the kids are practicing now that Maxwell is the director. And Andrea really starts to stand out from the pack, and she's not supposed to.
Right. She sings this big note. Max has to just try to cut her off because he's just saying, you can't do this. You're just making everyone else look ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And she says, my mother says, my voice is a gift. And then Max says, well, return it.
It doesn't work here when you're supposed to be the background.
Yeah. That was a pretty bold statement for her.
Andrea, love, you're not blending in. You're upstaging everybody.
Yeah.
So Gracie can't connect with her role, which is Mary and her lamb, until Fran says that the lamb is codependent. And then she understands now how to act.
Yes. Gracie needs it in these therapy terms to understand anything.
Yes. Then Max starts critiquing Gracie a bit. And he says, oh, these amateurs, calling Gracie an amateur. And then the scene ends with Fran throwing Andrea a cookie because she's so hungry, to get Andrea away from upstaging people.
Yeah, another food reference.
Yikes. So then we're back at the house, and Niles and Franz are talking, and meanwhile Gracie's upstairs tapping for hours practicing because Maxwell told her to. So he's really trying to make Gracie better here.
Yeah. Which Niles is upset because he mentions he just waxed the floors. So now she's really
ruining it.
She's getting that and taking that wax right off.
All for nothing. You'll have to do it again real soon.
Yeah, that's just this old job. It's just repetition.
Waxing and re-waxing. Cleaning and re-cleaning.
Yeah.
Laundry, more laundry.
Polishing and more polish.
Vacuuming and vacuuming.
Yeah.
So Maxwell is in his office conducting an interview with a kid reporter, and he's talking all big terms to this kid that's Gracie's age. And he says, I find the children's theater genre absolutely fascinating. And then the little kid goes, well, how do you spell genre?
Yeah, so Bernard can't, because this is Bernard.
Oh, this
right?
is Bernard.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So-
it's Bernard. So he just turns into a reporter
Yeah, since he can't become
and an
or be a-
interviewer. Yeah.
be an actor in the play, he has now become a journalist, I guess. So that's his. I don't know. Maybe that's his
That's
true
his calling.
passion, and his parents wanted him to be an actor or something, and now he wants to be a journalist. But,
Yeah, why not?
yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's funny that it's Bernard. So
Fran says to Max, aren't you taking this too seriously? And you're working the kids all way too hard, especially Gracie here. And then Max says, well, my father pushed me and look where I am today. And then Fran says, yeah, 3,000 miles and an ocean away from him.
yeah, I mean,
Pretty far away.
yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, there's more. Yeah. It's more of like I think, practical reason of why.
Right.
That's not the reason why
He moved away.
Because, yeah, there was like a strain in the relationship. or
Maybe
something.
that's why he moved away.
I figured it was because to pursue his ambitions of Broadway.
Maybe.
America has, I don't know, I guess I'm not very familiar with Britain's Broadway. Maybe America just had more potential, or he just wanted to make his name for himself there or something.
And his father drove him mad.
Maybe that, yeah.
So Fran says, you are turning into a regular Lenny Scheinbaum. And Maxwell just can't help but to ask who Lenny Scheinbaum is and what his story is here. Would you call this a Dapper Daddy moment? Because I think this is the only moment we may have in this episode.
Yeah.
Dapper Daddies dating the backers.
So Fran says that Lenny's father made him so nervous about taking over the family business that he started pulling all of his hair out of his head. And he was bald by the time he was 15 years old. And he did end up actually becoming CEO for the largest linoleum chain in the tri-state area, though. And she said, did I mention he was interested in me? And then Maxwell says, see, I knew I shouldn't have asked about this. His debacle that he was going over.
I could agree with that now.
So Fran says, I'm telling you, if you don't stop pushing her, Gracie's going to grow up to resent her father.
Yes.
Max says he thinks that Gracie will appreciate him. And then Fran says, well, that's what Lenny's father thought too, until Lenny shipped him off to the Lincoln Tunnel retirement home with a Jersey view. So is that like a bad thing? Because he's by the Lincoln Tunnel?
I'm assuming so.
Yep.
I haven't been in that part of the area before, so.
Max says, well, isn't Fran overreacting? And maybe she's just overreacting because she was replaced as director, which is kind of mean to pick on her about this. And then since Fran is the producer, she says, well, can the producer fire the director? And Maxwell says, as easily as the father can fire the nanny.
Yeah, so he's bringing it right back around to her and blocking all types of access that she's trying to use.
Yeah. Guess she's not fired him then.
The role of nanny is probably more important than the role of producer.
Yeah, for a one-time play.
Yes. First year income of life.
Income of life.
Yes.
So next, we're at the opening night, and Fran is the producer, yet she's acting as an usher, tearing everybody's tickets into the play. And then we see Cece with a kid again, because this kid walks up to Cece, and he asks if he can wipe his nose on her. And she is appalled until she learns that this kid's parents are big investors. And then she holds out her sleeve and tells him to blow and smiles over to the parents.
Yeah, I mean, this was pretty funny. I mean, we just still see here where Cece is still all about the investors, and I mean that seems to be really her biggest role in like the partnership they have is
Yes.
just rolling in how much dough can I bring in.
It's all
So,
about the money
yeah.
and the next investor for their play.
So she's a little mini bankster over here and is ready to
Ready to go.
accept some donations for letting his child blow his nose on her.
Which I don't get that whole bit. Can he not find a tissue somewhere?
I mean, it's a little child. He doesn't know where to go. He's out of play.
Okay.
He's lost. His parents aren't talking to him. So
The poor kid needs a tissue.
yeah.
So we see Brighton, Maggie, and Niles. They're sitting in the front row, and Brighton brought cards, and Niles dealing the cards. So
Yeah, well, Brighton's like, ugh, we've got to watch this whole thing. And then Niles is like, well, you're supporting your sister. Of course you need to watch and take interest.
and then he
he's like,
caves.
right. And he's like, well, I brought cards. And Niles like, all right, I'll deal. So Niles is not showing much interest in this either. So
No, playing cards sounds like fun.
yeah.
So Max tells Fran Grace is refusing to actually go on and be the lead in this play now on opening night. And Max needs Fran's help. And Fran says, well, isn't that the director's job? And then finally, Max admits he was wrong here. And Fran says, listen, all I want is for Maxwell, for you to love your daughter, Gracie. And then Max apologizes to Gracie for working her so hard and says that she's more important to him than any silly play. And she thanks him so much for that statement, but says she still doesn't want to go on and doesn't want to do the show. And then Maxwell has this huge outburst and he says, are you insane? To his daughter.
Yeah, because just the Broadway in him is eating at him to stick to his roots, and he can't have her not show up and not perform in the correct way.
Yes, that's exactly it. So
Even though it's his child,
yes,
he still has to
still has to act like the big boss. So Max is desperate here. He wants Fran to say something. And then Fran says that the show will just have to go on with Andrea now. And she's saying this because she knows this will get Gracie to want to do the show, because Andrea's just been so annoying to Gracie, just trying to take her role 24/7. So it works here. Would you call this a finesse moment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, this really shows, like, this is Fran's big moment as a producer, because she keeps the lead person in the play and to show up and to not outperform, but just to perform splendidly in the play. So yeah, let's give this one to Fran.
Fran finds finesse.
Only Fran could convince her and not Max.
Yes, only Fran's finessing skills could force Grace into the play.
That's right. So then Grace goes on. There's a big production. We can see there's a lot of lights, a lot of glitter, a lot of crazy props and everything, all because Maxwell overdid everything to be like a Broadway play.
Yeah, well, this this school either must be having a pretty good budget, or unless he's
Maxwell
just
donated,
chipping in from his own pocket here.
I would bet.
Because this seems like a way over the top, especially for a elementary school budget.
Yes.
Is through the roof here.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
And Gracie comes down, propelling out of the ceiling as a spider with glitter flowers all around her and bees.
Yeah, that I was stunned when I saw that, because that didn't seem like you would do that with children. Just the chance that something goes wrong or something. But yeah, and two, once again, the budget here. That's a huge prop for the child. So a child,
yeah,
not the child, but a
the
child. For Gracie.
Max is a professional here. Maybe he brought his stunt people.
Yeah, he could have brought his whole crew on and set up this whole thing. I mean, we don't know, but it's definitely looking pretty A+ material right here.
It really is. It's looking like a stunning Broadway play. And then Gracie starts to sing, and Maxwell says, well, she really has something, doesn't she? And Fran says, yeah, she has guts. Because I don't think singing is really Gracie's forte here. But
yeah, I mean,
she makes a good effort.
Yes, I mean, she's an introvert who goes to therapy. I mean, singing is not her, not her thing. But
yep.
And two, it's kind of interesting. The way she sings "Itsy Bitsy Spider" is the same between the audition and here. So it's like really not much improvement at all ever happened.
Maybe the dancing improved with all that tapping, but I don't know if the voice improved.
Yeah. Did she even dance?
Not that we saw. But all the tapping practicing, I wonder what that was for.
It was just like
probably for after her song. Maybe she taps out of it. I don't know.
Yeah. Itsy Bitsy Spider. Da da da.
Tap tap.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, I don't think it ends that way.
Don't copyright me.
There's a lot of us singing songs in this. So
yeah, I don't know. It was like I guess you would have thought if she was doing all this practicing on the tap dance, they should have at least like shown a little bit of like the tap dance or something in the play.
Yeah.
Because the whole reference of like, oh, she's tap dancing all this practice, but then like when they actually get to it, they don't even show anything. That seems like
nope, it's just the beginning of Itsy Bitsy Spider again, and that's it.
Yeah. I would have liked to see some tapping if they're making references to all her tapping earlier in the episode.
In actuality, I don't think there was any tapping happening for the actors.
No.
In our last scene, we have Maxwell and Fran, and they are reading the reviews. The reviews are in, and they loved Gracie, all the critics. And then they really weren't big fans of the play. They called it overproduced, underdirected, a piece of trash. They hated Maxwell's overproduction of this play.
Yeah, well, I could agree with that. That was just too much for a children's show. Why do I need
too much
spotlights and glitter and all the costuming? And he's like putting on a New York show with children.
He went crazy. It didn't pay off. But Gracie, good reviews for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just had a thought actually, too, because I was going back to she's singing Itsy Bitsy Spider, but then in the rehearsal, she has Mary that has a little lamb.
I was confused on like which
and then
rhyme it was, or if the play was just full of, I think actually the play was full of rhymes, because remember at the beginning, they say it's like Mother Goose's play or something at the PTA meeting.
Yeah.
Now this actually makes sense, because Mother Goose would be talking about all the different rhymes.
That's true.
Nursery rhymes. That just clicked for me.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, Mother Goose and her nursery rhymes.
Yes. There used to be this creepy Mother Goose VCR tape that I watched in childhood with my siblings, and it featured a big giant goose costume, and a guy that was in the goose costume had a really thick New York accent, and he like walked around, and every other word he said was honk honk.
Oh, but it was like honk honk.
And then he walked around, he goes, Mother Goose, what are we eating for dinner today? What was the dinner?
I'm making some rutabagas
today. I'm making some rutabagas.
I'm having some Swiss chard rutabagas.
He's like honk honk. But the way it was creepy was, I don't know, it was like it mixed in all these old time nursery rhymes and people all dressed up like they were from like the 15th century or something.
Well, that's not creepy. That's just because it was about like the fiddle. Yeah.
Well, no, the
you
creepy.
Have a different definition of creepy.
I think I just find some of the nursery rhymes creepy, like Humpty Dumpty. Like they had him falling off of a wall, and they showed great detail of him cracking and everything when he landed at the bottom.
Oh yeah, he had a great fall. It's in the nursery rhyme.
Well, I could get nightmares from that one. So I think it's called Mother Goose's Nursery Rhymes. So anyway, the theme song is "Here's Mother Goose."
All right, yeah, you can't say.
Okay, fine. Mother Goose
Stop all this.
stories and Mother Goose
Yeah.
rhymes.
Okay.
Magical memories and wonderful times. It was probably like a free production. I'm not going to get copyrighted off this.
No, you could.
You can find it on YouTube, though. Search Mother Goose
Okay.
stories.
We're not promoting that.
Watch it on YouTube and then tell us if you'd let your kids watch this growing up.
I mean, yeah, there's something wrong with the nursery rhymes.
It was on discount at the grocery store in New York when I was little. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, let's
with that being said, I think we're ready for our recap.
let's please jump into something else.
Let's put this all together. These moments are forever.
There's a play at Gracie's school.
It's about nursery rhymes.
Mother Goose stories. Max nominates Fran to be the director.
I'm a taking charge.
Fran casts Gracie as the lead instead of Andrea.
I'm showing extreme biasm here.
Extreme bias. Max can't help himself. He becomes director.
This is incorrect. I'm taking over.
Fran is producer.
Promotion, salary pay, bonus.
Fake promotion. Max overproduces the play and works the kids to the bone
Trying to beat Andrew Lloyd Webber here.
for an elementary school play.
Yeah, these kids got to outperform him.
Grace wants to drop out of the play, but Fran convinces her to stay.
She's finessing Gracie with trying to have Andrea take the lead role.
Yes.
She doesn't show up.
Grace is nervous, but does a good job.
She sings under composure, singing Itsy Bitsy Spider instead of Mary Had a Little Lamb.
There's no tap dancing.
Yes. Where is this? Why was all this practicing without any reveal of
No
anything?
dancing. Maxwell gets ripped to shreds by all the critics.
We hate your play.
We hate your play.
Yes. That's all. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
Yes. Well, in reference to the critics, but yes.
In reference to the recap, too.
But that, yes. It all came at the same time.
It all came to an end at the same time. This was one heck of an episode. Thanks so much for joining us and talking about Gracie's play with us.
Yes. Thank you for joining in. Hopefully you'll tune in next time. Follow us on all our different social media platforms, A Fine Podcast. And
We'll see you next week. We'll be here talking about episode 13.
yes, go learn up on your nursery rhymes, people.
Google Mother Goose Stories and Nursery Rhymes on YouTube.
Don't do that.
Bye.
Ciao.